Yesterday, I was in my man cave. I was getting ready to play some Call of Duty, and like many man caves, I have a whole bunch of "I love me" type stuff all over the walls, things that I've accomplished, and pictures and whatnot. And one of the most meaningful ones is a shadow box, which is directly in front of me as I'm sitting at my desk, and it has my LAPD badge and handcuffs and all that crap. Just your typical retired cop thing. But it brings me a lot of happiness for some reason because that was a very important time in my life. And, here I'm approaching 62 years old now. And so as you get older, you really reflect on your past more than you look ahead to the future. And I had a thought that kind of corresponded with some other thoughts that hit me from time, and you guys have all thought of this, I'm sure, some of this, but I'm going to try and tie this into something at the end. Back up to the day before that, I was on my way to an appointment, but don't forget the badge. I'm going to get back to it. And I'm sitting in traffic. It was heavy traffic because the lanes had been, chopped down to one lane because of construction. So there was a lot of people and a lot of cars all over, just surrounding me, and guys, a guy on a motorcycle, and just all these people, man. And I do this sometimes. I'm looking around and I'm thinking, the one thing we all have in common, every one of these people and all these cars and all this whole city and all this whole state and this whole country and this whole world, the whole planet, the one thing we all have in common is we're all going to take our final breath. We're all going to cease to exist, some sooner than others. Somebody in that crowd might be dead next week from a heart attack, a car accident, a murder, a slip and fall, whatever. So that's something that crosses, I'm sure most of our minds from time to time. Now we get back into yesterday where I'm looking up at my badge and I was admiring it, and I'm thinking, man, that thing, if it could only talk, the stories it could tell. And then I started thinking, once I'm gone, my kids, one of my 7 kids will have that box and it'll stay in the family, and eventually it'll become great grandpa's badge. And, eventually, if the world doesn't destroy itself, it'll be generations down the line until maybe somebody sells it at a pawn shop or whatever, who knows. But the badge itself, with all the things it's seen, its memories and whatever, and I know it's just an inanimate object, but that badge will exist, and potentially for hundreds, maybe even thousands of years, who knows. But at one point in time, without question, with no question at all, that the moment will come when that badge ceases to exist. It will not exist anymore. Maybe a Russian or a Chinese nuclear bomb will detonate and it'll just... Or eventually, if we all find peace and love and there's no more war, eventually an asteroid will come and destroy the planet, or the volcanoes will erupt, or whatever. But, obviously the Earth is not going to last forever. And whenever it goes, anything that's remaining goes, including the Great Pyramids, the Sphinx, and any other monument or object that you can think of. And in a less projected thought, you can look around the room right now as you're watching this, and there's nothing that your eyes can touch. There's nothing and nobody, no pet, nothing that is going to exist sooner than later. This house that I'm in will be gone. I'll sell it, and someone will move in and have their experiences, and maybe they'll sell it, and somebody will come in. Maybe there'll be happiness here, weddings. There's already been one wedding here. One of my sons got married here. And maybe it'll be the scene of a friggin' homicide. Who knows? But eventually it's not going to exist anymore. And the spot that this house sits on won't exist anymore. So what are you talking about, Mike? What's your big point? Your big philosophical, deep point? Big deal. We all know this. We think of this all the time. You're not special. So the point is, as I think about this and thought about it, it just reminded me. I'm not teaching you guys anything new, and I'm not teaching myself anything new, but it refocuses the absolute reality of how temporary every single thing is. Everything is temporary. And then you start to think, well, if everything's temporary, what is the point? Now, those that are fundamentally grounded in a religious belief, they don't have to drift out. I myself am a Christian, and I have my beliefs, but I ain't gonna lie to you. I also get moments where I'm like, man, what if I'm wrong? And oh, that's a sin, you're gonna burn in hell. Well, look, man, I'm a human being, and some days I'm super strong in my faith, and other days I get like, wow, what? I guess if there's nothing, we wouldn't know it. I'm just being brutally honest. But this actually bolsters my religious beliefs, because knowing that nothing can exist, nothing can withstand its inevitable end, nothing. Whether it's here, there, the moon, a star, a constellation, the solar system, a galaxy, it's all going to eventually go away. And so the only thing that's real in terms of stability is our soul. That's the only thing that can last forever. The thing that drives our emotions and our thoughts, the things that make this matter enough for me to turn on this piece of glass and start talking to a bunch of people I don't know. The thing that makes my eyes water when I think of my granddaughter or think of my own children. Who we are, who we really are. None of us are who we show ourselves to be. This person talking to you is probably not how I'm going to act once I stop recording. There'll be some subtle changes. It's very hard to be authentic when you're in front of people. Who we are is who we are when we're alone. And the spirit that drives the feelings and those thoughts, that's eternal. And my belief is that my spirit and those people, those humans who accept that Jesus Christ died for your sins and that He is the Messiah, that He is God, those people will exist forever and ever and ever. That's it.